People are leaving the city of Portland for smaller cities all across Oregon. And one of those cities is Salem, Oregon. We are going to break down why exactly people are deciding to ditch the big city vibes for this small town. Salem, Oregon is the state capital and only 45 minutes south of Portland. But unfortunately, a lot of people think that Salem sucks. And I'll admit, I used to be one of them. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why my YouTube clients are consistently deciding to move to Salem, Oregon instead of Portland. Stick around until the end because we are going to be saving the best for last. My name is Clarity Odd and I'm a local real estate broker here in Salem who specializes in relocations. Just like you, I relocated to Salem and now I get to make videos all about this amazing city for you, my future clients. If you want to work with us in the home buying process, go down to the description of this video where you're going to find all of our contact information. Reach out so that we can help you. We are jumping right into reason number one, why people are deciding to ditch the city of Portland for Salem, Oregon instead. The first reason is that Salem is a smaller city than Portland, but Salem is still offering a lot of the amenities that one could need from a bigger city. Now, don't get me wrong, Salem and Portland are two very, very different spaces. So if you're somebody who wants those big city vibes, you are not going to find them in Salem, Oregon. But what you will find is a smaller town that has under 200,000 residents. You're also going to find that Salem has a very small town feel. It has a historic downtown that is blossoming into a hub for this city. And on a more practical note, Salem has things like a hospital and an airport and a Costco and a Trader Joe's and a VA clinic. And so on a practical level, Salem does offer many of the things that you would want or need from a larger city in terms of your day-to-day practicalities. So if you are somebody who is wanting the vibe of a small town, but the amenities and the accessibilities that a larger town can provide, Salem should absolutely be on your list of potential places that you should consider relocating to. My husband and I, we ditched the city of Portland to move to Salem about 5 years ago, and while it did take some time to adjust from a bigger city to a smaller city, being somebody who relocated to Salem, I definitely have a new appreciation for everything that Salem has to offer, even though it's not a big city. For example, I myself get my nails done every single month, and I had my go-to nail tech in Portland. I loved him. He did my nails the right way every single time. And when I moved to Salem, it took me some time to find a nail tech who I felt like could compare to the caliber of my nail tech in Portland. But I am so happy to tell you that I have found a nail tech here that has surpassed the skills and talent of any Portland nail tech that I ever had. So you really can find those big city amenities and talents here in Salem, even though it's not a big city. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything from nails to the practicalities of living in Salem, Oregon, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and boop that little bell so you are notified every time I put out a video each week. We are jumping into point number two, and that is the fact that Salem doesn't really have traffic. The locals who have not relocated to Salem that have, been here forever, they're going to tell you that the traffic in Salem is getting terrible, it's atrocious, and it's at the point of no return. But I am a big city babe, and let me tell you that the traffic here in Salem is nothing compared to the traffic of a big city. When I work in Portland and I'm showing homes to my Portland clients, I have to let the traffic schedule and commuting hours dictate the time that we check out houses. Because if we are going to a home that's, we go check it out in the wrong hour of the day, we're going to be stuck in traffic for upwards of an hour to an hour and a half just to get across town. So when I tell you that the traffic here in Salem is nothing, it's nothing. The traffic that you are going to find in Salem is predominantly located downtown, very specifically it's on the bridge from west to east Salem. That's like the worst gridlock that we get. And this is only during commuting hours. But generally speaking, the traffic here in Salem, it's way better than a city like Portland or any bigger city for that matter. A lot of my clients who end up finding me on YouTube are coming from bigger cities, and they are just like me. They left that big city vibe and they are looking for a more balanced city to live in. And I know for myself, when I was able to free up my time and not have to account for getting stuck in a traffic jam, that takes, an hour just to move 5 feet. The mental freedom that comes from being liberated from traffic, it is just heavenly. If you, my friend, are finding value in this video so far, give it a thumbs up and go down to the comments and tell me why you would rather live in Salem, Oregon than a bigger city like Portland. The next point that you should be aware of is that Salem does not have big skyscrapers. Even in downtown, we do have one single tall historic skyscraper, and that building is called the Capitol Tower, and it's a whopping 151 feet tall. So that equates to about 15 floors, and that is our tallest building in downtown Salem. Because downtown Salem and just the rest of Salem in general doesn't have any skyscrapers, you are always going to access the sky and the sunlight, and it's always going to be penetrating the sidewalks. You are never going to feel claustrophobic or like you are just moseying around a concrete jungle. Most of the historic buildings in downtown usually are about like 5 to 7 stories tall, and we do have a few condo/apartment complexes that are a little bit on the taller side, like 7 stories, but those are the biggest and tallest buildings that we have. So overall, you can expect to see the skies when you're walking around downtown. And if you're looking for a condo with a stellar view, I'm so sorry to say, but because the highest view is like, I think 5 or 7 stories high, you're just really not going to have those skyscraper condo vibes that you might be looking for if you're coming from a big city. All of this brings up a really great point. And if you are like me and you came from living in a bigger city with a downtown metropolitan area, and it's very common to have those condo sections of town, we don't have that either here in Salem. It's like downtown has a few condos and apartment buildings, but there's not like one area that has condo living in Salem. It's mostly residential. So if you want condo life, sorry to say that the condos you can choose from here, they're kind of few and far between. But if you're still jamming on the idea of having that downtown metropolitan kind of vibe of whatever residential neighborhood you're going to move into here in Salem, I have linked my most walkable neighborhoods in Salem in the description of this video. So if you want that downtown metropolitan vibe, there are a handful of neighborhoods around downtown Salem that can offer a close version of that. We are jumping right into our next point, and that is the fact that real estate, generally speaking, is cheaper here in Salem, Oregon than it is in a bigger city like Portland. Oregon in general is a high cost of living state, which means that the real estate prices here do tend to be more expensive than a majority of bigger cities across Oregon and the United States. And a lot of the reasons why my YouTube clients end up gravitating towards Salem over Portland is because Salem is more economically feasible than buying a house in Portland. Right now, the average home is at $430,000 in Salem, at about $100,000, and that is going to be the average sales price of a single family detached home, comparable to one in Salem, but in Portland. With so many of my clients being able to work from home and having the ability to easily dip in and out of Portland, once a week or once a month, whatever their kind of work from home plan is, Salem provides a really unique alternative option to living in Portland. And I think that it's one people are starting to kind of get on board with and gravitate towards. The cost of living in relationship to things like gas and utilities and groceries, these are all going to be very similar when we compare Salem to Portland. But one thing that does typically have a bigger impact is the cost of gas. So when I'm driving around, I can expect to pay on average about $1 more per gallon in Portland than I would in Salem. So I always fill up my tank here in Salem before jaunting up to Portland. I would love it if you go down to the comments right now and tell me what is the average price of gas per gallon wherever you are living right now. Here in Salem, it's at $3.98. I think for a lot of years, Salem has been looked over and really actually looked down upon because Portland has always been this really shiny object in the state of Oregon. And as the city of Portland is going through some of these growing pains and fluctuations with certain issues with the city, I think that a lot of people are starting to look towards Salem as an alternative option to Portland. Now, Salem and Portland are very, very different, but I think Salem is starting to begin to recognize that more people are seeing the benefits of living in a smaller city, but still being close to a bigger city like Portland and, close to things like the international airport. But I think people are kind of over Portland right now. And on the topic of airports real quick, I do want to say that Salem has its own airport and it just opened up commercial flights. So you can get from California, Nevada, Arizona, Tennessee, and hopefully that list expands soon. And so we're going to get more flight paths. But having an airport in Salem, it's great. Salem should definitely be on your list of places to consider if you want to relocate to Oregon, but you're not necessarily keen on the idea of keeping Portland weird and living in the city of Portland. If you like this video, you, my friends, are going to want to watch this one next. Bye-bye.